Good evening. My name is Halima Idris. I'm a student of the Doctorate Center, Sustainable Development Center at University of Abuja. I'm currently undergoing the Sustainable Doctorate Program. My research paper is about Unmasking the Invisible. That is a mixed methods investigation into the prevalence, determinant, and institutional responses to male sexual harassment in workplaces in Nigeria. The executive summary is about addressing the gap for male sexual harassment that is marginalized in Nigerian corporate institutions. The challenges are silence due to fear of emasculation, ridicule, or professional repercussions by men or colleagues. The core problem is underreporting this harassment in workplaces for men, gender bias policies, which is mostly female-centric policies, then insufficient data due to silence by men. The study is aimed at, for a period of 12 months, as a mixed methods qualitative focus study on this problem, especially at institutional responses. The main objective is to quantify harassment, analyze underreporting, evaluate policies, propose gender-based or gender-sensitive frameworks. The frameworks I want to propose are silencing theories, masculinity, and organizational justice theory. My methodologies are 40 interviews, 5 FGDs, 600 surveys, and 20 policy audits. The expected outcome is framework on African masculinity, male harassment on violation index, the model policies like Men to Nigerian toolkit. My contribution is sustainable development 5, that is gender inclusivity, and then decent work, that is SDG 8. The background of my study is to study or to understand the male harassment in workplaces or organizations that violate the rights of men, which is historically focused on female victims. Male victimization, often overlooked by organizations, the society, and the men themselves. Then the global context, which is about 14 to 20% of men report workplaces sexual harassment globally. In the Nigerian context, because of traditional gender ideologist, it creates barriers to disclosure. The big man syndrome is another problem. Then the legal frameworks and policies are predominantly female-centric, leaving male victims without recourse. Then I want to also use this to discuss the 2023 ICR investigation, which shows significant male harassment cases involving women superiors. What is the problem? That is a statement of my problem is profound underreporting of this problem. The institutional gender biased, that is the policies that are designed, do not protect the interest of men. Men are mostly seen as the perpetrators instead of being victims as well. The scarce empirical data is absence of localized studies on this problem. Then the reinforcement of toxic work environments, which makes men uncomfortable and emotionally damaged. Then the research focuses on examining how these norms, our organizational failures, and the lack of gender-neutral policies affect men in workplaces. My main objectives are to categorize and quantify the extent of this harassment, analyze and interpret the socio-cultural, religious, and psychological factors contributing to underreporting and self-silencing of male victims. Then critically evaluate gender inclusiveness and effectiveness of existing anti-harassment policies that do not make provisions for male victims. Then I want to propose frameworks and recommendations based on evidence and gender-sensitive policy frameworks, and which are actionable by all sectors. The conceptual clarification is sexual harassment, which is an unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature affecting employment, work performance, or creating hostile environment for men. Gender biased, gender harassment, and distinguishing what flirting is and what banter is. The global literature review, global and regional, globally 16 to 18% of men report sexual harassment, as reported by EEOC 2020 in the US, and then YouGov poll 2018 UK. African context is data is sparse due to cultural norms and research bias. Limited South African studies acknowledge the phenomenon, noting severe underreporting as well. In the Nigerian workplace dynamics, cultural bias, the weight of masculinity and shame, the big man syndrome, the religious beliefs, the fear of disbelief and ridicule, institutional barriers, that is the policy gaps, and HR indifference, female-centric policies, the inadequate HR protocols, and power dynamics and organizational culture affects this topic. The methodologies I want to approach as a mixed methods with qualitative primacy. My key components are target population, sampling strategies, sampling size. Qualitative and quantitative components, that is data collection tools and procedures, semi-structured interviews, focus group discussions, surveys, policy audits, data analysis plan, which is the thematic analysis for qualitative data, statistical analysis for quantitative data, then the ethical considerations that is robustly addressed throughout the research process, and the innovative measures, introduction of male harassment vulnerability index. The scope and limitations are, my geographical scope is Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, because they have most of the public and private sectors in the country as the main three big cities we have. The sectional scope are formal corporate sectors like government institutions, banking, telecoms, and healthcare sectors. The demographic inclusion is male employees 18 to 55 years, full-time employees, the HR professionals, and gender experts and advocates. Then the temporal scope is harassment experiences within the last 5 years, 2020 to 2025. My delimitations are exclusion of informal sectors, exclusion of non-sexual harassment, then focus on male victims alone. I want to go ahead through this. I have recommended through my research to government on its policies, academia to do more research and advise the government, the public and private sector, especially the HR departments, to make policies within an organization or within the organizations to protect not just the female victims but also the male victims, to make sure that ethically their identities are closed and matters are being taken. The civil society organizations should sensitize and educate people on what male sexual harassment is, not to victimize people, and take it more seriously, because it is emotionally and physically damaging for men in terms of their performance, especially at workplaces. Then individuals should also know what the difference between flirting and sexual harassment is, and they should learn to speak up and report when necessary. Thank you very much. As I said, my name is Halima Idris. I'm a student of University of Abuja, doctorate degree program on sustainability development. Thank you very much.